With its towering skyscrapers, vibrant streets, and a population representing over 200 ethnic origins, Toronto stands as a beacon of diversity and opportunity. As an international centre for business, finance, arts, sports, and culture, the city's allure reaches far and wide. The city serves as the headquarters for Canada's major national broadcast networks and media outlets, while also housing the Toronto Stock Exchange and the headquarters of the country's largest banks. As such, Toronto harbours a diverse and dynamic economy that thrives in technology, finance, life sciences, education, fashion, and tourism. In fact, it proudly claims the title of the third largest tech hub in North America, making it a beacon of innovation and progress. No wonder that in recent years, Toronto's rental market has become a battleground for an escalating affordability crisis, firmly establishing the city as the second most expensive place to rent in Canada. The escalating rental costs have raised concerns amongst experts and housing authorities, and this highlights the importance of coming up with a coordinated and comprehensive solution. There are a number of reasons at play in the city's sky-high rental costs, including demand, a lack of available homes, and the economy. Toronto sits on the northwest shore of Lake Ontario in southern Canada. The city covers an area of 630 square kilometers. It is situated within one of the most densely populated areas in North America, the Golden Horseshoe region. Many people move to Toronto every year, so the city's population is always growing. The recent estimate of the city's population is a whopping 2.8 million. A recent study done by the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives assessed that the rental wage, which is the hourly pay needed to cover rent while working full-time and spending no more than 30% of income on housing, showed that the rental wage is higher than the minimum wage in almost every province, especially Toronto. In Toronto, the rental wage for a one-bedroom apartment is $33.62 per hour, more than double the province's minimum wage of $15.50. For a two-bedroom unit, the rental wage rises to $40. To understand Toronto's expensive rental rate, let's look at it from the roots. Natural growth aside, people are drawn to the city's strong job market and a higher quality of life. Toronto is the city in Canada with the highest rate of growth because it attracts young and mobile professionals. Despite this, there has been a 24% decrease in the development of low-cost buildings, which increases the demand for housing and in turn drives up rent costs. As more and more people search for a roof over their heads, Toronto faces a shortage of available rental units. From a population issue, it has now morphed into a demand and supply concern. The restrictive zoning regulations add to the problem, restricting the availability of land for certain types of housing, such as high-density apartment buildings or rental units, and a slow approval process for new developments push the cost of the available rental homes. Blame it on its highly competitive economy. Its gross domestic product growth is significantly outdoing the national average. It boasts one of the biggest concentrations of financial service firm headquarters in the Americas, and its business and financial sectors are the second largest in North America. As a result, many talented young workers and professionals constantly flock to the city to satisfy the growing employment demand. Foreign investors in real estate find Toronto to be a promising market. They regard the city as a secure investment option. Just recently, a law known as the Prohibition on the Purchase of Residential Property by Non-Canadians Act, also called the Canada's Foreign Buyer Ban Law, has been approved to help the housing costs go down, especially in areas like Toronto. Compared to other Canadian cities, the building cost in Toronto was significantly higher than Halifax and Vancouver during the first quarter of this year. Rents have increased due to these higher costs being passed on to tenants to pay for the cost of land and new rental buildings. Also, the condominium market is dominating Toronto. Developers often focus on building condominiums rather than purpose-built rental properties for long-term accommodation. Compared to the high demand, the limited supply of purpose-built rental units creates a competitive environment resulting in higher rental prices. Rent increases in Toronto may be influenced by the city's high cost of living, including the price of food, transportation, and other essentials, and taxes. The average monthly utility cost in the city for a two-person household is $400 or more, especially in winter when the costs increase. The typical grocery bill per month is $350. Meanwhile, monthly rent is between $1,800 for a studio and $3,500 for a 3-bedroom unit. Higher living costs can impact the amount landlords charge to cover their expenses and maintain profitability. All these factors are working in sync, creating one seemingly unbreakable chain of hurdles that make affordable rent inaccessible. Navigating the competitive rental market can be a challenging experience, as competition to secure a place is quite fierce. Many of those who come to Toronto for promising career prospects or even just to study are welcomed by the challenge of apartments beyond their budget or with limited spaces to offer. As apartments are snatched up quickly, often within hours or days of being listed, timing is very crucial. Prospective renters need to act quickly if they want to increase their chances of getting a place they want. The rental application process is another story, complicated, and often involves filling out lengthy forms, getting references, and having the applicant's credit checked. The best way to get a landlord to let them live in their apartment is to ensure they have a good enough income to pay the rent with ease. Good income usually means that 30% or less of the applicant's total income or yearly income goes towards housing. When the number gets close to 50%, the owner or selling agent starts to worry about the applicant's ability to sustain the rental cost long term. Unfortunately, a credit score, owning a pet, and sometimes even race can all also play a part in getting the application to lease approved. The Toronto Rent Bank, a joint effort of the City of Toronto and local access centres, aims to alleviate homelessness amongst low-income people by providing financial aid to qualified residents who are behind on their rent or cannot afford a deposit. While this is an immensely helpful initiative, everyone will agree that the best solution is one that addresses the root cause. According to the National Rent Report, Vancouver generally has the highest monthly rent overall. Toronto, at the second spot, rent for a 2-bedroom unit in Toronto averages roughly $3,286 per month, whereas in Calgary it is closer to $2,019. Quebec City's 1-bedroom apartment is at $1,226, while a 2-bedroom unit averages $1,554, more than 50% cheaper than Toronto's rates. The Bank of Canada did its part by putting on pause the interest rate hikes in March and April this year, a much applauded move after aggressively raising interest rates in March last year in an effort to stabilize the economy and rein in skyrocketing inflation. Doug Ford responded to the housing shortage by building an additional 10,000 homes, bringing the housing supply closer to the demand. More than 50,000 new homes must be built each year in the Greater Toronto Area to keep up with demand. Ultimately, Toronto's City Council needs to examine the city's housing plan and allow for more flexibility in home pricing. The market is constantly changing, and Toronto is always developing ways to fulfill the city's growing housing needs. It's excellent news for both investors and homebuyers, as the market is expected to stabilize in the following years, with ongoing efforts. So, Toronto's rental affordability crisis is a significant challenge for residents seeking affordable housing due to high demand, limited supply, and rising costs. However, legislators, housing authorities, and groups like CMHC are attempting to create complete answers. It may take some time to develop solutions that can bring the rental costs down, but the dedication offers hope for a future where renting becomes more affordable for all. Everyone featured here has sponsored my channel directly, and I'm eternally grateful. Thank you all. Geo Perspective out.